Hey, my name is Shelby. I am a salon owner, professional dog groomer, and a new standard poodle puppy mom. On this channel, you're going to watch me raise my puppy, Sir Rook, with some raw footage of puppy training, grooming, and just trying not to lose my mind along the way. In 2013 is when I graduated college. I had a double major in sociology and criminal justice and a minor in business economics. I really preferred studying sociology because I loved how people interacted with each other, and I loved to see how people affected one another and how that changed the group setting. During my course of in college, I worked 3 part-time jobs. I look back now and I don't know how I did that, but I did. And over the weekends, I would work at the North Carolina Zoo in the education division. And exactly a week before my college graduation, I was supposed to walk. I got into a car accident where I lost traction. My back tires lost traction, and I wound up hitting a dirt embankment and rolling my car and hitting a tree. So at that point, instead of going forth with whatever career I had at the time landed on, which I can't even recall what that was, I decided to take time off. And within that time frame or that year that I took off, I was really figuring out who I was without being so deep in work, because I always thought that I had to be doing something and had to be working to amount to something. But within that time frame, I had had my very first dog, Capone, who is now passed. He passed a few months ago. But I had him through the course of college. My last 2 years of college, I snuck him into the dorm rooms with me. And all my roommates knew when they were doing a room check that he would slip right into a backpack or any kind of bag, and they would take him out, and we wouldn't get caught. But he followed me through college. I used to say he had his college degrees too. Um, but what eventually led me to grooming is in that time that I took off, that year that I took off from graduating to then figuring out what I wanted to do career-wise, I knew that I loved working with animals, especially because I no longer worked at the North Carolina Zoo. I really missed being in an animal atmosphere. And more than anything, I really love spending time with Capone, my dog. So with my kitchen scissors, was cutting his hair one day in the kitchen on the floor, and I said, I really enjoy doing this. I think I can make a career out of it. And I also wanted to choose a career that I always envisioned and thought I would have children. So where I thought that that would be 2 human feet, it actually wound up being 4 paws. And so he was really my first child, and that's what led my decision in not only becoming a groomer, but now owning my own grooming salon. When COVID hit, I wound up back on Long Island, and I had worked for another business that had just started up. Someone had started up a grooming salon, and I was their first groomer slash manager, um, with the intention of buying the business. A year later, and I took a major pay cut. A year later, when I had been asking for changes that I really needed in order to get their business up and running, and also in addition to me getting a raise, I really needed a raise. I got laughed at when I asked for a raise. And at that point, I always knew I would own my own grooming salon one day. I always envisioned it. I didn't realize what I would be getting into. But that really lit a fire underneath me to get things started. And before I knew it, it was boom, boom, boom. I found a rental space. I had my LLC. I had my emails going. What's the next step? I knew how to groom, but I didn't know really what was involved in starting a business and really what became of my business. When I started out in a 600 square foot salon, and now I own a salon that is 3,200 square foot, and it's been a wild ride. What really drove my business from the day of opening to now was how much time and effort and energy, physical labor, emotional, mental labor really goes into starting a personal business, a small business. I can't tell you the days in which I had 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. that I was there. And then I would have to stay an extra 2 hours to do paperwork, and I was catching up on phone calls. And I have to say that if one person who I truly value in all of what Posh Was is today is my very first employee, Talia. She helped me tremendously, and the hours that we put in she helped me so much. She grounded me a lot because I realized that um, I took myself out of my own situation and I saw how much she was building her life too. And I just applied it to me, and it was so much time and energy to get where I am today. There's a lot of dog groomers on Long Island, but what makes my salon different is every time I worked for someone else previously, I always saw the things that I could do differently and better. And not that I thought that I was better, but I just saw what was working and what wasn't working. So when I have clients come into Posh Paws, I know that their dog is their child, because my dog was my child, and that's what led me to owning my own salon. And I want them to feel so comfortable in leaving their fur baby with me that not only does my client feel taken care of, but they know that their dog is going to be taken care of physically, mentally, emotionally in my atmosphere, and I have control of that in my own salon. So when my Doberman passed, I knew that I wasn't ready for another dog, and I still had my Pomeranian at the time. But I knew that my next dog would be a dog in which would come to work with me every day, because my Doberman was very reactive. So she couldn't come to work with me every day, and I really wish she could. So I knew that my next dog would be a breed that not only my groomers can work on, but also I would raise to be able to come to work with me every day. So I, at that time, had put this was in September, I had put a deposit on a standard poodle puppy shortly after that, but it was also before my Pom had passed. But when I put the deposit on the poodle puppy, I knew that it wasn't going to be for at least another year, possible year and a half, but I knew that it would be a standard poodle puppy. The whole premise of this channel really is because my aunt had adopted a standard poodle that she had found on Facebook. Someone was giving it away, and he is absolutely phenomenal. He's a white standard poodle. He loves to be colored. Truly, he loves to be groomed, and coloring is just an extension of that. So when we started doing creative grooming on him and coloring, I was really excited to share it online and show people. And I was also getting to expand on my knowledge of not only applying the color, but also coming up with different designs, because I've done some pretty ugly designs on him. But I realized in that time frame that when I was posting video and showing that content online, I didn't realize what backlash I would get from it. I would wake up every day and people would have some really nasty things to say. And not only was it about me and my character, which isn't true, because I know that one, I'm a good person, I care about people, I obviously care about pets so much. Um, but the misconception of what creative grooming is, and really how I view it, and because it's my world and I see it every day, and I need to understand from their perspective that they don't see it every day, which is why they have that perspective. And that's why I want people to be included on this journey and raising my puppy and getting to see he comes to work with me every day, his growth, dog training tips, grooming tips, and that inevitably he's really going to enjoy it, and it's just a way for him and I to get to spend time together.